Yeah, tell me about the Carbotech interviews. Is it the company you work for?
Yeah. So the background of it was just part of some activities relating to International Women's Day. And basically the view is that women were underrepresented within the ranks of the woodworking community, and the idea was to try and shine a light on it by interviewing some talented female woodworkers.
Okay. Yeah, they came across very well. And how did you get the job of interviewing them?
That was my idea.
Okay. And where have they been posted?
Just on the organisation's YouTube channel, and I think they use it in social media a bit too.
Okay. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I do enjoy that, because for me it was sort of, it's like someone's story, which is always nice.
Yeah.
Draw out. So
yeah. I must compliment you. It really went off well. I've looked at all three now. The first one you sent me was, as it turns out, the third one. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I didn't have your name on it or anything that I noticed, because when I'm listening to an interview, I don't necessarily watch the screen. Okay.
Yeah.
I just listen, and so I don't know if it was, but right the way through the video, you didn't appear in the video, okay, like you did subsequently in the other two that I saw. So I recognized your voice, and I knew it was you. Then I sent you a message on Telegram, which you did not answer. Okay. Don't look now. This was a week ago or something.
Oh, okay.
Whenever you sent me the connections. Which as a matter of interest, which channel do you actually read your messages? Do you do where?
Telegram would probably be the best one there for you. Yeah.
But it's not, because you don't answer them.
Well, I don't know. I mustn't have looked or something. But anyway.
Not the first time, so don't make excuses.
No, I'm not making excuses, but anyway. Telegram. There it is. Oh, no, it's there. Yeah. There you go. Oh, well. Sorry about that.
It's fine. Yeah, so I actually enjoyed listening to them, and I think your questions and the way you phrased them and so on were very professional. Okay, so well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, you should do more of that.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that actually. It doesn't have to be, something like that. Could just, drawing someone's story out of them, which is always interesting, I think, isn't it?
Absolutely. I thoroughly enjoy, as you know, I listen to a fair number of interviews.
Yeah.
And a lot of them all seem to be about an hour and a half long.
That's a long interview, isn't it?
Yeah, but different people are doing that length. Okay, I'm not sure why, and then there are like the glucose goddess on Instagram that I've learned an enormous amount from. She does short interviews. Okay, no, she doesn't do interviews. Well, she does do interviews, but the people who interview her, they're quite drawn out. But when she just does a posting of a video, then they're short and to the point.
Yeah, I kind of think, I don't know, intuitively, it's good if you can get it down to like 15 or 20 minutes, I think, but but it's hard to know. I mean, I guess if it's an interesting person, an hour goes pretty quickly, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, it does, and but often, if I listen to maybe the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes max, if a title catches me, then I listen, and you know, I give it just literally a few minutes to see if I actually want to listen to it. Okay, so those first few minutes are, excuse me, are very important, and so I turn off after a few minutes if I don't like it, and then I also memorize. You know, if the interview was or the video was just, you know, misleading or something like that, I make a mental note of it. But if it's the opposite, then I everything I can, I save it. I do all sorts of things, and I want to get further because something just gels. You know,
it's a real talent being able to, you know, engage with an audience and keep their attention over that sort of time frame, isn't it? You
know? Yeah.
Especially these days, because I think for a lot of people, as soon as they lose interest, they just go, you know, they just move on to something else, don't they?
Yeah, they definitely do, unless it is something that just the actual topic is something that you really want to know more about. Okay. And you then listen to it. So what topics would you listen to for an hour and a half?
That's a good question. I mean, when I'm doing that Bible study, I will normally do 2 hours, you know, or thereabouts.
Yeah.
But that might comprise of, say, you know, 3 or 4, you know, sessions, if you know what I mean. So
yeah. With Easter coming up, what does your biblical research tell you about the meaning of Easter?
That's the meaning of Easter. Okay, well,
yeah, what do you get out of it? I mean, or even your own opinion of what Easter stands for.
I think Easter stands for now, in my mind, as being the divine solution to the human condition, in the sense that, you know, when the garden was created, you know, that was an environment where heaven and earth were basically one. And then after that opportunity was lost, there was, you know, several attempts for humanity to, I guess, for the want of a better word, redeem itself, and you know, recreate, you know, the garden environment, which all failed miserably, and then the only real solution then to it was one where divinity showed up as humanity and was able to do all of the things that humanity was unable to do. So that's kind of the essence of it.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for that.
But yeah, I mean, if you're ever in a customer service role, dealing with members of the public, it's very easy to form the view that we're all doomed.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, it's silly, but I mean, like, I had this telephone call today, like, just to give you an example.
Yeah.
Of a guy who was after this particular tool, which you use on a grindstone. So, and the tool itself is like diamond encrusted, you know, as the means of being the abrasive. And the product description said, you know, that these are synthetic diamonds, you know, and this is how the tool's used, blah, blah, blah. Well, he went into this great tirade about, well, why on earth would I buy synthetic diamonds? Why wouldn't they be real diamonds? And I said, well, the synthetic refers to how they were made. You know, a diamond is a diamond is a diamond. Some are made by man and some are made by nature. Oh, no, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. You're trying to sell me an inferior product. And I said, well, you know, this particular tool costs like $50. If you want jewelry quality diamonds on this thing, well, I'm assuming you'd pay probably $10,000 for it, you know, like, you know, that's not the point. I said, well, I think it is. But in industry, like they use diamonds and access to them through synthetic manufacture enables them to have them, you know, like no, that's garbage. That's just nonsense. Synthetic diamonds wouldn't last anywhere near as long as natural diamonds. I said, okay. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
And he says, you know, like, why would I even get into my car to come to your store to buy that? And I just said, well, that's a decision for you to make, sir, not for me to make. But in my mind, I was saying, well, don't come. Stay at home.
Please push off.
And he kept on saying, how do they compare? Like, what's the performance difference? I said, well, I don't know. That's the only one that we have. Oh, but you should know this. Like, if you're selling this, you should have all of the information at your disposal about how they compare. And I says, well, I said to you that a diamond is a diamond is a diamond. You know, one's made in nature and the other one's made by men, you know, man. No, that's
our product works very well indeed. It serves its purpose. Okay.
No, that's bullshit. You know, you're misleading me. It's a bit of a scam. It's rah. It's okay. Well, thanks for your call.
It's a popular word these days, scam, man. Everybody is fearful of being scammed.
And everyone's an expert, but knows absolutely nothing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. It's very strange how some people ring up, like just you know, spoiling for a fight.
Yeah.
You know, it's just hard to understand why. But anyway, over things which, all said and done, is neither here nor there. You know, like it really isn't.
Yeah. Would you put it down to whether a person in his life is either happy or unhappy?
I think that's a contributing factor to it for sure. But I think for some reason, I don't know, I just have a sense that people think, and maybe like social media is maybe a bit of a culprit for this, that, you know, I have an opinion and I'm entitled to my opinion and I'm entitled to share my opinion whether people like it or not. You know, it's like, well, actually, I don't know that that's true.
No, I agree. But I think it has a lot to do with a person is just inherently unhappy, you know, that's, and I think I mean, it may sound simplistic, but I think it goes very deep. And
I think you're right. I think you're right, really, because I mean, if they have that sort of outlook, then everything's going to look like a problem, isn't it? You know.
Yes, that's the point. Everything looks like a problem when you're unhappy. Okay. And when you're happy, then you know, you overlook the things that could possibly make you unhappy, or could be confrontational, or you know, and you present yourself in a different way when confronted with a machine that you want to buy. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it just astounds me that. I mean, I guess I have a different outlook than some people, but like just the notion of picking up the phone and wanting to get into an argument with someone about, well, A, a $50 item, but B, that somehow you think that nature made and synthetic are somehow fundamentally different, you know, like.
Yeah.
It's quite bizarre, but. You know.
How does your company advertise it, or you probably resell it from some of the? What's on the box? Does the box say diamond cutting?
Yeah, it says diamond cutting, but then in the description it says, you know, made from synthetic diamonds.
Oh, okay, it does say that. Yeah.
So it's an accurate description. It's not as if it's sort of
misleading.
But yeah, it's quite peculiar.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I think it's also one of those things like when you have a day where it's just like you're encountering lots of this sort of attitude, you know, your own outlook starts to darken a bit, I think. So,
yeah.
You know, I mean, it darken's probably not the right word, but you just sort of think, oh.
I know what you mean,
yeah. Your tolerance for it is just, you know, reduced. And I think, you know, what do they say? Something about your gratitude tank, you know, starts to run a bit empty, you know. So.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine what it would be like working like in a call center for immigration, for example, or social security or something like that, you know, like.
Yeah.
It would be horrendous, wouldn't it? It would absolutely horrendous, you know.
That's why they've got AIs doing it now more and more.
Oh, do they?
Yes. Oh, okay. They're replacing call centers big time with AIs, and they don't lose their temper. They don't have an attitude. Okay, and they've been programmed to really be polite, no matter what. So you can actually try it with one of the AIs that you use online. Try and be rude to it. Okay.
Yeah. And what does it do? How does it respond?
No, it's very polite, okay, and might just say to you, you know, it's not necessary to lose your temper with me. It might say that, okay, but in a kind way, or otherwise it might say, don't be rude, or it will say, and I'm talking from experience, around. It might say, I understand why you're angry. Because sometimes on third or fourth attempt, I would say, you know, that's not what I'm asking you. Don't you understand what I'm asking you? It's quite plain English. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Michael, that you're getting upset. Let me relook at it. You know, and that's what they do now. Imagine a human being saying that. It wouldn't. It just wouldn't. Okay. Yeah. They would tend to lose you and disconnect you or something. Yeah, just try it. It's quite fun playing like that with AI. But mine is often from real experience, not actually playing, because I just get frustrated with some of the responses.
Yeah.
I have unsubscribed from my ChatGPT.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Yeah, I still use the free version. Okay. But I just find now at like March 2024 that Gemini is far superior.
Oh, really? Okay, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I actually haven't tried Gemini, so I should have a look at that.
Please have a look at it, because you know, a Google Chat, for one thing, is not connected to the internet for today's news. You know. and whereas Gemini is. Okay, and so and Gemini, because it's connected, it can give you images, whereas ChatGPT won't. It can give you YouTube links to topics or questions that you answer, which ChatGPT can't. So, yeah, I've just thought, this is
the race between these big technology behemoths is fascinating in one sense, isn't it? Worrying in another, but just how they almost on a daily basis try and outdo each other, don't they? You know. So.
Yeah, but it's a good thing, I think, because it's pushing those programmers, I guess, to offset, what the other company is doing, and so yeah, yeah, it's very competitive, and then of course, with Write Cream, I use those for articles and things like that. I've learned also how to use all the words. I think it gives you 300 words or something,
yeah,
1,000 characters or something like that. And then I first write it out onto a Word document, and I check it, and I do a word check on it, and then make sure that I've got every angle in. Then I put it into Write Cream, and yeah, I get a satisfactory response from that, depending what I want.
Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, the better quality input you put into it, the better quality output you're likely to get, I would have thought, So
yeah. And I've also learned with ChatGPT and with Gemini, perhaps more with Gemini, is that you've got to just look at the angle of what you're asking. Okay, if you're asking something that's, let's say, 3 or 4 lines long or something like that, or even a paragraph, you've got to make sure, because it somehow hones in on an aspect which is correct, but it's not the aspect you wanted. So I've learned to think now much more carefully now that I'm using Gemini as my first. Yeah.
But I guess one thing is it probably pays to stay in touch with all of them just to see how they're evolving too, I guess, doesn't it?
Definitely, I have an interest in doing that too, because I really like AI, I enjoy artificial intelligence in all aspects, okay? I enjoy artificial intelligence in humanoids as well, and how they progressing and working is absolutely astounding, in fact, and how they've got the texture of the humanoid skin down to a point of,
it's quite advanced, isn't it? Yeah.
Very advanced, yeah. And some of them are now developing, being able to, be touched and to respond to that touch, okay, to the feeling of being touched on their skin. So, yeah, really, really interesting. But robots generally, not only humanoids, but also are fitting in left, right, and center. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, even here in Australia, they're saying, next year so many people are going to be left to be retrenched because they're going to be replaced with AIs, And, so that we expect that. Okay, we you and I in our discussions, we know that's going to happen, and by 2050 probably everybody will be replaced. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's a process and a climbing process.
It's interesting now because years and years ago, I don't know, probably in the probably in the 1980s or something like that, you know, there was always this dialogue going on about, you know, as these jobs are replaced, you know, it'll give us more leisure time. So, you know, we'll all be able to work like a 3-day week or a 4-day week and still earn the same money because of the impact of technology and that. But it's interesting how it's actually played out in that, you know, I suppose it's not interesting, but, you know, how it seems that the owners of the technology just try and extract as much wealth and profit out of it that they can, and not use the technology largely for the benefit of you know, humanity as such.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah, I agree, but I think, you know, we as human beings, and particularly the younger people who are a third of our age, they need to be thinking about what type of knowledge they should be acquiring. And
I think that's a really important point because, you know, I think, you know, you've already demonstrated that the quality of the output depends on the quality of the input. So, you know, that if you don't have any sort of skill or very low skills, then the tool is not going to serve you because you don't know how to use it, you know. So
yeah. I think there's certain industries that will, you know, just take farming for an example, you know, and obviously manufacturing, and, you know, especially these manufacturing lines where, like, motor cars are virtually altogether put together by AI.
yeah, you won't find a person in the factory, and as a result, the factory can operate 24 hours a day, lights off, all sorts of things, isn't it? Really, you know. So
yeah.
Which is quite remarkable when you think about it. But
yeah, it is, and I think it's going to. It has to, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to. It has to. You know, prices have got to drop. Okay, which and the volume of output can certainly, I think, in any circumstances, exceed the demand. Okay, which comes back to what you were saying earlier. Maybe in the 1980s, you know, and you come through now to 2024, you know, maybe we can see that we live more of a leisurely life and can afford to live a more of a leisurely life, and perhaps the structure in which, you know, the society that we live in now, and how we get paid will change. You know, maybe, you know, the government will look after us, you know, for example, and then take all the money, you know. I think so. I can imagine all sorts of alternatives of how this could work out. Possibly not specifically in our lifetime. Let's assume that we still got like 25 to 30 years to live. We're going to see enormous changes, but I think the real changes will come perhaps over the next 60, 70 years. And then we'll see how. But that brings me to another interview that I'm busy listening to here that links on to what we're talking about in a way. Okay, in a way. And it was an interview that it's a 1.5 hour. No, it's not an interview. Sorry, it's a talk given by who was it? I just can't think of the name now. And Linda Howe, that's who it was. Linda Howe. I don't know if you know the name at all.
No.
Okay.
No.
She's like the person to go to if you're a whistleblower.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And she's been going quite a long time. But the one that crossed my path this morning, that's why I've only just listened to about a half an hour of the 1.5 hour talk. It's actually a talk. She's now disclosing a lot of new things that basically the world doesn't know about, or the general world doesn't know about, except for the people on the black projects. So she obviously, with whistleblowers, she gets exposure to all sorts of things. And
like what are some examples?
Yeah, there are lots of examples. If I go back a few years, which is now for me sort of old news, but maybe not for you, is, one of the black projects, remember, a black project is nobody has any knowledge of it, and it's not allowed, it's not documented, it's not allowed to be spoken, it's got nothing to do with the government and the parliament. It's different, like NASA would have a black project, for example. Okay.
That the only people would know about it, those that are directly involved in it, sort of thing.
Yeah. Every day, those are directly involved, and they won't necessarily know what the other person who's also involved is. It's not like a big team effort. You keep your space and I keep my space. Anyway, what I was saying is, going back years now, I knew they were able to send people to Mars. So it's not only has that been ongoing now, I'm giving you old news, has that been ongoing, but there's now a colony underground in Mars, okay, that consists of humans and highly skilled humans, okay, and they've been there for some time. But one of the new things that she said is that they've now exposed that they've met the original inhabitants of Mars that were also living underground. Okay, and those people don't want anything to do with any aliens of any descriptions, humans or whatever, because it was that encounter historically, they say, destroyed Mars. Okay.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And
it's sort of funny as an aside. I watched some science fiction movie there, I don't know, a week or so ago, and it was sort of set in the current age, in the sense that, up on the International Space Station, they detected this signal. It was just like a young person saying hello, sort of. And then they said, oh, it's actually coming towards Earth, like it's coming towards us. And then as word got out into the broader population, there was all this conflict and people sort of saying, they're invading, and others were worshipping them as gods, and like the whole place just went mad. And anyway, as the countdown came, as this thing got closer and closer and closer to Earth, and then it landed on Earth, and these people rushed up to see, who these aliens were. And what it was one of the Voyager probes had been intercepted by aliens, and they sent it back.
Interesting how humans use science fiction stories to hint on some truth that they're
Yeah.
aware of. Okay.
Yeah.
But that the humans don't want to hear it. Okay. So they bring it into a Star Trek story, you know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, then she's going on, and I'll perhaps finish it next week I'll finish the interview in the next day or two. But she talks about that there are obviously aliens on Earth, okay, and
apparently for a very long time, by the looks of
yeah,
it.
there have been historically, but there's now they give them different names for the ones that are friendly and the ones that are not friendly. Okay. She mentioned a name that I really found interesting. I'm looking forward to listening to the rest of it. She talks about the tall whites. Okay. Now, I haven't heard that terminology before, but, you know, I know there were whites that were giants on Earth, and they evolved, and Moya told us, as it's in his writings, they had to evolve, and because the gods didn't like them, okay, got them to evolve in spaceships and move out to the galaxy, virtually leaving one or two, that's all. But that was one thing I like. The other thing that she talks about is that they've been able to reverse technology with their communication with the aliens. And the aliens don't want humans to know about their existence, okay? But they are sharing, with the Black Projects, they're sharing what they call quantum physics, the knowledge, and how they can move from being here now and in Mars in a few seconds. Okay, and based on quantum physics.
Yeah.
And it's like a big bubble and a vacuum in front of you, and somehow the big bubble pushes you through the vacuum to where your destination is. And so, yeah, that is new. Now, my sort of thing is, why is this allowed to come out? Okay. And I know she keeps her location secret, but it doesn't stop anybody finding her, I'm sure. But because I mean, the whistleblowers find her, and
yeah, I would have thought in this day and age it would virtually be impossible to be, you know, undetectable, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Now this is a video on YouTube, so it's right out there in the open, and yeah. So that's the type of thing she's talking about at the moment for the first half an hour, and sort of the new technology that's being shared with the Black communities, the Black Project communities, and some of the stuff has been around now for 20 years. Okay, so, and they're using it, and they've created types of, the aliens use vehicles that are in our space all the time, because of the way they work with quantum physics. Okay, they're here now, right here, but they're invisible. Okay, it's not a cloaking device as in Star Trek. Okay, it's quantum physics phenomena where you just slightly in another dimension. Okay, nothing more than that. Okay, and you're aware of everything else, but they just have the ability to be that, to do that. So yeah, I'll keep you posted.
So what do you have any sort of general view about, like, the why behind it? Like, why, you know, like, does it come down to the age-old thing of power and control, or is it, like, so why are they? Why do these projects even exist?
What exists? Sorry.
Why do these projects even exist? Like, what's their purpose? Like, what are they?
Their purpose is control, as this woman says. They are controlled by trillionaires. Okay. And they want to control. Okay, they want to conquer. They want to enslave, keep people enslaved, not enslave them, keep them enslaved. Okay, and yet they have sort of a total amount of freedom. Take it.
No, it's just spam.
Yeah, I get at least one a day.
Last night I had someone trying to call, like, I think it was like a fundraiser or something, and they called about 6 times within about a 2-hour period. It was just ridiculous. I ended up just blocking the number. It's like, oh.
Yeah, I blocked their numbers too. Did you speak to them the first time?
No.
Okay, because it's probably an AI calling. Okay, and the AI calls until you answer. Okay, and then they know that there's a human being, and it might say something fundamental and simple. Okay, and get a response from you, and then the AI hands it over to a human at this stage. So yeah, what were we talking about?
Oh, just the why behind it. Just the
why. Yeah. So it's all got to do with power, okay, and control. Power and control, probably the same thing. And
I wonder why they feel the need for that. I wonder why.
Well, I mean, just take your customer, for example, talking about how he thinks you're cheating because you haven't got genuine diamonds on your tool. Okay.
But do you ever have the urge to take over the planet or the solar system or anything? Like, do you ever have that urge? Does that thought ever enter your mind at all? Or?
Well, Don, if you and I go back, did you see that time when we started out? I sent you the link where our very first conversation about 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, that was recorded. That is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about changing the world. Okay, from a consumeristic society to one where everybody loves one another. So we wanted to change the world. Okay, so why can't the other side also want to change?
No, that's a fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, who determines what's good? Yeah.
Absolutely, and we have our opinion. You and I have changed over the 5 years since we started, and however long it was that I sent you that date. I think it was 2016 was the first one. Anyway,
that's a really, really important point that you make there. So then, if you were to sort of say, I want to live my life, like the remaining days of my life, in a manner which, I don't know, maybe benefited others. I could see how the super rich would think that that's actually what they're doing.
Yeah, interesting point, that one. Yeah, but I immediately see what you mean. Yeah.
I mean, because if you sort of go, to like a lot of religions, and I know you've used about what what Moya says about them now, but a lot of religions were almost like, a moral sort of code on how to live your life in some respects, weren't they?
Yeah, they were trying to civilize man.
Yeah. So that it's not okay to murder people and it's not okay to steal from them,
Yeah.
have sex with other men's wives and all that sort of stuff. So in with that sort of backdrop, then what does that tell us about when we think about our own lives, how we should live them?
Well, if we stay with the example that you've just used now, the religions and they're trying to civilize civilization. Because we live in a duality plane, the opposite is also building. Okay? It has to, because it's got a balance. Okay, so it's not like in the heavens where there's just one polarity. Here we've got two sides that, and the one empowers the other one just by its existence and its strength growing.
Yeah.
So as individuals, where does that leave you and I? Not becoming paranoid about what we perceive as good. Okay. Because it's not going to help anybody. Okay. It's really not. Okay. So the best that you can do is, at this moment, just live your life to your known integrity, your natural ability of wanting to do whatever you're wanting to do, not going out and trying to be gooder. Okay? Trying to out and just,
save everyone's soul.
Yeah, save everyone's soul. If the universe offers you something where you have a choice of either helping that person and not helping that person, that's where your choice comes in. But if you go out and search for just people to help in order to build good karma or something like that, that's not going to achieve the objective.
With this Bible study I'm doing at the moment, they talk about the concept of discernment. So what they say is that, like, if you're faced with a decision about something in your mind that is either good versus bad, that's a really easy decision to make, because you'll presumably take the decision for the good. But if you're confronted with a decision with, two or more options which seem equally good, how do you discern which one, which decision to make? And they talk about a whole range of sort of skills and techniques and stuff around this idea of discernment. But I'm still sort of getting my head around it. But it seems to me that a lot of it's about not becoming entangled with any particular option, but sort of trying to keep it this openness and not so much look for guidance as such, but sort of contemplate, and see where the energy is sort of leading you towards. Because, I mean, that's a very different notion than right, wrong thinking, like this is right, that's wrong, because that's sort of the good, bad thing. But when this is right, and this also seems right, and by the way, this one over here also seems right, how do I choose? And
yeah, but in it, just you make it sound like it's easy, the right and wrong. Let's take. Let's.
Well, presumably in some cases it is. It's like if you walk out the front door and see your neighbour doing the wrong thing, should I go and kill that person?
Well, that's you might say that in jest, but take the leader of Russia or take the leader of Israel, okay, and take the leader of the countries that are fighting, okay. And,
I guess that's exactly what they're doing, isn't it?
Yeah, they're doing what is right
in their eyes. Yeah,
of course, and it's in our eyes too. Does that make it right? Okay. In what? It's a consciousness thing. Okay. And that's what you're governed by, is a consciousness. So, you watch millions of people being killed because somebody sees it as right.
Mm.
Historically and today, you
Mm.
know, in
That's so true. That's so true. Mm. Yeah, I don't think, if someone's living through those moments, that they have this view that what they're doing is not right. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it, would they?
yeah.
Presumably. Mm.
Well, but they've got a reason,
Mm.
whatever it is. Maybe it's the same satanic or part of the trillionaires, that they want to control for the sake of humanity and saving humanity. They need to control, and they need to reduce the population to 2/3 of what it is now, or 1/3. And so all these reasons. Okay.
And those that stay behind must have white skin and blue eyes and blonde hair and
Whatever. Okay. Yeah. But you and I are just more and more aware of, there isn't an answer, there isn't necessarily an action that we should be taking, okay, other than perhaps trying to keep our connection with divinity.
And is that your sense of, if you boil it right down as to what Moya's saying, is ensure your connection with divinity is strong? Is that the essence of his view at the moment, or is that oversimplifying it?
No, you can't oversimplify that. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. And things are going to happen to you in your little bubble. Okay. You're going to have a stroke. You're going to have a heart attack, and you're going to whatever, and you're going to try and eat well, and you try all these things that we do. But at the end of the day, what we focus on or think about, even think about the wrong word, because we can use the brain as a tool, as a positive tool, but generally it's a liar. The brain is a big liar, but you can control it. And then you think about. So if you sit down and contemplate about your soul and God and the divine quantum physics that is all around you, okay, and in you and through you and in every cell of you, okay, and then just get on with life. Whatever you enjoy doing, do it. Not for the sake of wanting to buy a bigger house or change the world or buy a bigger motor car or whatever. Okay, if your car breaks down, then you buy another one. Okay, and so I think I think life is simple. Okay, I really do.
Yeah, life is to be lived, isn't it? For sure.
Say again?
I said life is to be lived. That's the reason for it, isn't it? So,
yes, you've just got to live it. Yes, just got to live it. And if you wake up really depressed and down in the dumps or something, okay, it's your brain playing games with you, okay, of some description, that you've let it. Is maybe you've lost your job or something, and you think that you want to commit suicide, and so you're really down in the dumps. But it's a mental thing. The whole thing is a mental process. You thinking these things. So what we've got to think is happiness. We come back to that word that we started the conversation with today. Happy and unhappy. Okay.
Yeah.
So you had a customer who was unhappy, but it's in his nature to be unhappy. He wakes up unhappy. He wakes up aggressive, and anybody who pinches him is going to get aggressive towards.
Yeah. What do they say? If everything that you look at looks like a nail, then you'll only ever have a hammer. So.
I like that. Yes, I like that. But yeah, you know, like this interview with Linda Howe is. I've also.
So who's interviewing her?
Sorry.
Who's actually doing the interview?
No, it's not an interview.
Oh, it's a talk. Okay, yep.
It's a talk in public. She's talking to a group of people. Okay, you don't actually see the people, you hear them. Okay, but up to now, in the first half an hour, I haven't seen them. But she's also using slides as well, which the slides aren't particularly interesting. But the content of what she's saying is interesting. And yeah,
fascinating.
It's fascinating. You know, and another thing that I'll lose it if we go another week. I just want to mention something else that I came across, and that is Princess Kate.
Yep.
Okay. Somebody sending you an SMS?
No, it's probably just more rubbish. No, it's just the weather report.
Okay. Yeah, Princess Kate. You know, no, let me not start there. You know that until when it was it last week when she supposedly spoke in the park from a bench or something.
Yeah.
And told the world that she's got cancer and is having treatment for cancer. And everybody's saying, thank goodness she's come out and spoken about it and so on. But prior to that, I came across a video that has made me think. The video, I don't even know who it was by, and I didn't make it wasn't something I wanted to keep particularly, but so I don't think I stored it anywhere, but it was on YouTube, and or was it on YouTube? Anyway, doesn't matter. What this man was saying was that Kate has been a victim of the royal dark side, okay, and that she has been bled, and all the fanatics have drunk her blood, okay, and she is now dead.
Okay.
And that she will be replaced either with a lookalike or with an AI alike. And so before we saw her on the bench, we saw her through a fence at a distance walking somewhere. Okay, that could have been anybody, quite honestly, because you only saw the side of her. And then on the bench, we're having some royalties who follow in Britain who follow the royalty in France, saying, Kate didn't look herself. Okay. And then they justified that by saying, she hadn't started chemo yet, according to what she said on the bench, but she's got cancer. Okay? So that's why she don't look so.
So there's still a chance then potentially that one scenario is they might decide to kill her off, so to speak.
Yeah, she might get buried and die with the cancer. So she's sort of now kept on frozen because she's dead already, and so maybe it'll take 6 or 12 months and she'll die off. Yeah, could be. Okay, or she'll get better and not look herself.
Mm. Mm.
Okay. But anyway, just wanted to share that with you because it has been on my mind, the extreme satanic type of environment that exists. Okay.
Mm. So true.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, maybe I just wanted to share that with you as well, so that we can follow this maybe in a year's time. And
no, incredibly thought-provoking. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Maybe a good place to stop, I think.
Might be, hey. Yeah. No.
Unless you have a comment.
No. I'm just mulling it all over. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, all very interesting.
Okay, my friend. Well,
Yep.
you enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, you have a good Easter too.
And look forward to catching up next week, eh?
Yeah, dead right.
Sounds good.
Cheers, man.
Okay, bye now.